In this video, we'll go through the steps of replacing the head unit on your 2006 to 2012 Toyota RAV4, specifically with the JBL system. And that's why I made this video. I see so much talk on the forums about the difficulties in doing this, but it's really not a big deal as long as you get the right equipment. Here I'm going to show a kit that I've got off of Amazon. I'll put links below. It works great. It looks beautiful. It sticks out a little bit, but it fits in there just perfect for it. It's made for the car. It comes with one or two USB connections. Here's one USB connection. Comes with the GPS antenna. Comes with a harness for you to be able to connect external amplifiers. Comes with the cable that goes to the back for your backup camera. And it comes with the backup camera. It comes with even the cable for your satellite radio. It will come with a harness that's made for a RAV4, but not this RAV4. So you're going to put that to the side, and you're going to use a different harness. I'll put a link for that below. This will come with the CAN bus module, which will let you use the stock amplifier and retain steering wheel controls. Doing this job should take about 20 minutes start to finish. You have two trim pieces on either side of the radio. Use a plastic tool to pry them up and take them out. Unplug the buttons that are on them, move them to the side. With the trim pieces removed, you have access to the four 10mm bolts that hold the radio in. Remove those and gently pry this radio out. Unplug all the connectors in the rear of the radio. Keep in mind, some of these you're not going to reuse. With the radio removed, you have access to fish wires through this cavity and down underneath the glove box. And what you're going to do is you're going to mount your GPS antenna somewhere up front. This was an easy place to put it. Bring that up to behind the radio. Also, the cable that goes to the back for your rear camera, run that through now. Even if you just drop it down, at least you have it behind the radio. Then you're going to start connecting this harness that's made for this vehicle. Keep in mind, again, there are going to be some plugs that you don't use. For example, the blue plug, the small blue plug, is for the Sirius to the XM radio antenna, which you may not be using. As I mentioned before, this harness is specifically made for this head unit and for this vehicle, so you shouldn't find yourself having to splice any cabling. Also, if you're going to use any aftermarket accessories like subwoofers or whatever, you'll plug in the other harnesses and run those cables down. To install the new unit, you'll need to transfer these spring clips from your existing or your original radio to the new unit. So it's easy to take a pick, just spread them out open, and they'll just come out. Just use caution. If you open them up too wide, they do break. Also, they are spring clips, so if you don't have it protected, they might end up flying off. When you transfer the clips to the new unit, make sure you put them in the right spot. The two clips on the top are different than the two on the bottom. Start making your connections. You have that threaded barrel for your GPS antenna, you have your regular antenna plug, and whatever other harnesses or connectors that you're going to be using. Now before you wire tie and dress up these cables really nice, go ahead and just set it in place and just do a dry run. Make sure that it powers on and it does what it's supposed to do. Now so you want to make sure that everything's working. Test your audio, make sure you can hear sound, make sure you have FM signal coming in, but most importantly, check your controls that come through your CAN bus. And that's going to be your steering wheel controls. And so you can navigate on the unit to steering wheel controls and you can program this. So for me, for example, I chose to skip forward and skip back options. You choose that on your screen, you long press the button on your steering wheel and it'll let you know that it's programmed. And you know that that's good and we can keep moving. If you're going to install an aftermarket backup camera, now's when you want to do a dry one and check that as well. Now on a normal installation where you'd be using this harness, you have a lead here specifically for that backup signal sense. You don't have that on here, so you'll have to tap into that corresponding cable. The head unit will come with pinout diagrams for you to know exactly which wire to tap into. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tap that wire, make sure I'm connected behind the radio the way I'm supposed to, and then take the back end of that cable where it would normally connect to the camera itself and just test it out right here by triggering it, adding power and ground, and making sure that it fires up. Ignore any of your factory plugs that you didn't use, and then just go back here and wire tie this cabling, dress it up nice and neat, close it all up. After that, replace the trims on both sides, snapping them into place. The edge of the trim will push into a corresponding groove on the new head unit to really keep it in place. If all you were doing was the radio, the job is done. If you're going to install a backup camera or an additional or an aftermarket backup camera, you can run your cabling along this passenger side here underneath the trim panels. Try to make it nice and neat. Don't let that wire pop back out. But right here, if you pull your weather stripping up, you can get that cabling through that opening with, I'm using a stick that's for fishing cabling, but you can get it right through that opening and pop it out right here where your jack is. Now you're close to where you're going to mount that camera. For me, I thought up top would be the best option. For me, I'm going to start by taking off this trim piece here to get access to that rear wing. Make sure you disconnect the harness for that third brake light. You're going to take it off with two 10mm or Phillips head bolts on the edges, but then up underneath where you take off that trim, there's one more. You want to pull that out and this entire thing will come off. Now, I'm not using a camera that came with the head unit. I bought a better one, and I thought that I could stick this through. It has a threaded barrel. I thought I could stick it through this cavity, but I can't get behind it to put the nut on. So I'm just going to surface mount it because it comes with a plate for that. Before doing that, I'm going to spray both the back of that plate and a little bit on that rear wing with some brake cleaner to clean it off really well. Now this is going to end up being off-center, which is fine, and if that's the case, I might as well put it on the right side, closer to where the cabling is on that passenger side. I'm contemplating put it right in the center up top, but I think it looks kind of goofy, plus there's more of a chance of water getting in. So I'll just have it off to the side, and that's fine because it's way better than the stock location, which is down by the license plate, also off-center. With both surfaces clean, I'm just going to mock this up and press it into place where I want it to be. Then I'll bring this down and I'll attach it with two screws. Even though it's 3M tape, I want it to be extra secure. These are self-tapping, so I didn't pre-drill, but my suggestion is start it with your drill to get it in, and then finish it off by hand. Originally I thought to run this cabling down between where the glass meets the door and just come down off to the side, but it'll be a lot cleaner and the cabling will be less exposed to the elements if we go inside the door. You can bring the cabling in right where the hole is that attaches that third 10mm bolt. Once you're inside, you can sneak it into the hole that's on the left just to give you a little bit more room with that cabling. You're going to want to pull off all of the other panels. This is just pry panels that pop off. Run the cabling down, wire tie, make it nice and neat. We're going to poke a hole here and we're going to get through this boot. And that's going to give us access to the reverse light and to the wire that we ran to the back. Getting through the boot here is pretty easy in this car. Cut this plastic, and when we come back, and we're going to take that up, by the way, cut the plastic, you have access to that boot. It's easy to get through. Something like this, like a thick wire tie and some WD-40. You'll fish that up and through. I found it easy to pull a grommet out right here, just to make myself a little loop, and I could grab it with my hand on the inside. But once you can grab it on the inside, pull that through, then tape up all your cabling. And here's a good tip. Whenever you do something like this, leave a little flag on each end so it's easy to take this tape back off. But once this is secured pretty well, lube it up with some WD-40 and you'll pull this through and it'll come right out. Now I should mention what you want to bring through this boot is a power and ground lead and your RCA cable that's going to be for your signal of your camera that has that signal sense wire attached to it. So all that comes through the boot. You want to secure this wire as it comes down with some wire ties because you don't want to inadvertently pinch that cable when you're pushing this trim piece back into place. Down bottom where your connections are, here's how it's going to go. You have your connection for your camera itself, that's an RCA connection. Put that together. I like putting tape on it just to make sure it's extra secure. You have that one lead that's connected to that RCA cable. That's going to send power, effectively your reverse light 12 volts, back to the head unit to trigger it to turn on to the camera. And then you're going to connect your power and ground. So power and ground, your power goes to the lead that goes back to the radio, and that's going to go back to your reverse light, and the ground will as well. The ground also gets connected to the camera. With those connections made on the door side, all we have left is connecting our power and ground, which is going to be our 12 volt that goes to our reverse light and the ground. Up in here, behind where your jack is, you have your plug that goes to that tail light. Unplug it to give yourself some access and pull back the wire loom. On Toyotas, most of the time back here, the white with the black stripe is your ground, and we're going to take ground from there. Then you have the wire that goes to your reverse light. On this car, it's the red wire here. I'm using T-taps. It's easy to get up in there to snap them into place, and then these spade connectors. Here's a tip though, when using spade connectors, make sure that that metal is actually centered inside. You don't want to push that connector in, inadvertently having that spade to the side and not actually making a connection. But once those are connected, you should be able to fire this up. And before closing it up, I'm just going to have someone put it in reverse, watch the camera turns on, and I know it's good. Now it's time to put all this back together. And the last step is just adjusting the camera back there with the included tiny little Torx driver. I like making these videos to show how easy it is to do some of these things on your own, and of course to save a ton of money while doing it. I'll put links to the items I've used below, and if you use my links, I will earn a whole 17 cents.